come as you were, as I want you to be, as a friend, as I would enemy. Take your time, hurry up, those results don't be late. Take your ass as a friend, as I would memoria.
To this episode, we're jamming out to a song called B9 to Thrive by Culla from his new album that just dropped April 27th. It's called Colossus. This episode, we have Joshua Native Kirk back on the show. It's been well over a year since we've had him on, and it's nice to catch up with him again. One of our favorite survivalist, bushcraft type guys that we've ever had on and gotten to know. So I'd like to thank our sponsors for this episode, Comics Watching Comics. You can find that show on Amazon Prime. Seasons 1 through 5 are on there now. Season 6 coming soon. And go to all their social media stuff. Send them some love. Also, sponsoring this episode is the Sportsbook Box Office Podcast, hosted by Kevin Goatee and Jeffrey Paul, two New York City comedians. They talk sports and movies and all that good stuff. Good show. You can find them on all the podcast streaming platforms and social media. All right. We sit down with Native Kirk and talk some outdoorsy shit, some bushcraft, some extreme environment survival type stuff. We get down to it. And we talk about survival reality shows and their fakeness. How many fake ones are out there? Shit like that. It's fun. All right, enjoy.
Now, tonight's adventure into the unknown.
Shut up and sit down.
Oh, welcome to the show. You're muted.
Crap, you told me to mute myself.
So I fucked up a little bit, Frenzy. And at the beginning of this episode, we started recording with
Native Kirk, Joshua
Yes.
Native Kirk.
Who we've had on the show before, about a year ago. And I forgot to hit record.
Yeah, that's like the worst thing you could do. You're fired.
For like the first about 25 minutes of us talking with him, I was not recording at all.
You just got super excited. You just forgot.
I guess. It happens. It's not the first time in the history of podcasting that somebody has forgotten to hit record. I'm glad I noticed it only 25 minutes in. I wish it was only like 30 seconds into the show. And what sucks is that we like had some really good conversation at the very beginning of the show that just was not recorded.
We did.
It does not exist anymore. It's gone.
It's gone forever. And I think the cool thing is, too, is we always do for listeners out there listening, the two of you, usually when we do like a pre-brief about what the show's about, it's kind of, we always end up having cool conversations before we even start recording in general. But when we have past guests on, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, how are you? You know, it's like a reunion in a way.
But yeah, a lot of the times before we actually hit record, we'll be talking with our guest for, sometimes we've talked with guests for like half an hour before we're like, okay, we need to like start this show.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of shit that would make great conversation
Right.
while we're actually recording.
So
but,
we should just start recording that, and we can add it in later if we choose to do so.
We have
or
done
not.
that before.
Yeah.
But so the audio that you did miss out on that we were talked about and didn't record, we talked about
Native moving from Atlanta, Georgia, or not Atlanta.
Well, I got that.
You got that?
I got that.
Georgia to Wyoming.
We talked about a lot of the conversation was about like these survival reality shows,
right?
And how a lot of them are fake and staged and things like that, and our opinions on the different reality shows,
the different hosts and how they operate and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and how we got how we met up with Native Kirk, how we got to know him originally, and how he actually turned us on to the Alone show on the History Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we've had how many have we had? Like 5 or 6 people from that show.
Yeah, just common connections that we've made.
Yeah, Alan Kay was the first one.
Nicole Appelian, Mike Lowe, Tracy Wilson, who we got to meet in person.
Yeah, that was great. Who else? There's one more, wasn't there?
No, I think that's it. Mike, Alan, Nicole, Tracy, and then George Wells, who's a Minnesota guy.
But we haven't had George Wells on.
Nope, we need to have him on.
We really do. I thought there was one more person from Alone.
No, I think that's it.
Maybe not. Okay. We've had a bunch of different, like, survival bushcraft people on, but yeah, every one of them, including the contestants from Alone and the other survival bushcraft guests, Native Kirk included, every one of them have been just awesome. Like, they're just, like, down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth type people, genuine and kind.
Mm-hmm.
No bullshit about them, no fakeness to their character and their personality. They've just always been great to talk to.
Absolutely. And I think what resonates with us feeling connected to those kind of guests are the love that we have for camping and like being outside. And maybe it's because in Minnesota you can only do it like 2 weeks out of the year and the weather's actually decent.
Yeah.
But when you know that you get to do it, it's like, oh, I can't wait. Like, you love it. Like, the most perfect thing is being on the river on a hot summer sunny day and then going back to your campsite that you basically just found randomly for free, and you're going to cook up some brats or whatever.
Brats.
Yeah.
So, there was some good conversation that got missed, but there's still another, like, almost 2 hours of audio that we did
There's lots.
So
we're good.
It's all good.
Not worried about it.
We just want to let you know that some of it was not recorded. That's my fault.
It is his fault.
But whatever, get over it. It's still a good episode.
Yeah, it adapt and overcome, like we say.
So when I did start hitting record, I think we were talking about the reality shows, and we were talking about Man vs. Wild and Bear Grylls.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna wick get into the audio that was recorded.
Boom, do it.
Now, because of stuff like that. But, if I was going to go into a tight spot, and I can't say much, but I just did some filming a while back. I just filmed back with one of the History Channel's contractors. And we filmed for a few weeks, and one of my camera guy that was filming with me left me, and I won't say no names, but he left me, and he went to Bear Grylls. He actually went to film a show with Bear Grylls. And we were talking, and he was limited what he could say because he was under contract and everything, non-disclosure. But he was going on and on about him, and he it's just about how amazing the guy was,
Mm-hmm.
And it was just cool just to hear. I haven't met Bear. He's one of the few guys I haven't met, but it was cool to hear. Because I consider this camera guy a friend, hear him talk about him and all, and it was, I was like, there's so many people they make judgments based on television. I'm like, if you're making a judgment, first of all, rule number 1 in survival, you're making a judgment based off of a television show against someone. First of all, you watch too much television. Second of all, you probably need to get out and play in the woods some.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, Like, I agree. Bear Grylls, obviously, if you're in some kind of survival situation, he'd be a damn good guy to have next to you, to get you out of that situation. Because the guy, I believe, has like all the legitimate experience and expertise and knowledge when it comes to bushcraft and survival and hand-to-hand combat, most likely. But he gets so much shit, and I was one of those dudes too at first. Like, oh, his TV show is totally dramatized and everything is set up scenarios. But then when I really thought about it, I thought, yeah, it is fake. It is. I mean, the scenarios are set up. It's dramatized. Part of that is because that's what a lot of the viewing audience wants. They want to see that drama, but they want to believe that it's actually happening, that it's actually real. It's not set up, because they'll turn on you if they find out that it's dramatized. But the thing is he's still showing you legitimate knowledge, things. He's still teaching you things. It may be a set up scenario, but you're still learning something, a situation that, because you can't, if he goes out in the woods, like, you can't have, there's just not the natural opportunities to show you things unless it's set up. Unless you have a show like Survivor Man, he shows you, like, kind of real down to earth shit. He doesn't get too crazy. But one of the funny things about the Bear Grylls show is he does show you some things that are a little too sensational, like, this is what you need to do if you're gonna, rappel down the side of a mountain. If your plane crashes on top of a mountain, like, dude, none of us are rappelling down the side of a mountain unless, we have military training. And even then, most people aren't doing some of the, like, really crazy adventurous shit that he does on some of these episodes.
Yeah. I think they should give this. Have you heard about this guy? He is just like an outdoor enthusiast kind of guy, likes being outside, but he's been bitten by a shark, a bear, and a snake all in his lifetime, and he's still alive in, like, the past couple of years. Smoke. Have you heard of this guy?
No, I haven't. What's his name? His
name is Dylan McWilliams, and the odds of him surviving all three of those attacks are 893 quadrillion, which is apparently a number now, to 1. When he was 20, he was bitten by a shark, attacked by a bear, and bitten by a rattlesnake, all in just over 3 years' time. So those 3 things happened in 3 years.
That's crazy. Luckily, I haven't been bitten by a rattlesnake. I've been bitten by a copperhead, and I've been bitten by several other species of snake. And I haven't been bitten by a bear, but I've been charged by a bear.
Ugh.
And I haven't been bit by a shark. So that's pretty amazing. Like that. First of all, if you get bit by a rattler, the shark doesn't impress me that much. The bear is pretty darn impressive, but if you get bit by a rattler, that sucks.
Yeah, the shark thing was, he got 7 stitches, which is from a tiger shark, which, fine. That's not really a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but not compared to the other. The bear one was bad. I think it was by a black bear, which isn't as super common as, like, a grizzly, right? Is that suffice to say? Black bears don't attack as often?
Yeah. I think black bears are actually more, they're definitely more aggressive than grizzlies, in my opinion.
Because they're food aggressive, do you think? Like, they're in those camping spots where, like, people, they've obviously been a part of or experienced some kind of people food situation, so they know to hang out where humans are more often.
I think it's
black bears.
I think it's a mixture. I think it's a mixture of both. It's like, in my instance, I've had a ton of run-ins with bears, especially in campsites, which were food related. People leaving food out, blah blah blah. But one of the times I got charged was just coming off of a hunt, and the first time I was on a horse and I seen a cub, and I told you guys about that one on the last show that we did.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then the second time I had just gotten off of a hunt coming out of the woods, and I surprised a bear. So that's suicide. But I just had a run-in with a bear. I was just up last 4 days ago. Yeah, 4 days ago. 4 or 5 days ago, I was just up in the Wind River mountain range, and I come across a really good-sized black bear, but didn't have any problems whatsoever.
That's crazy.
And that
I
was a
would
black bear that
shit my
charged you?
pants.
Yeah, black bears. Actually, but you'll see, really, black bear. Matter of fact, I was just reading something a while back. I can't remember the article, but they thought, black bears are really more aggressive than grizzly bears. And the reason why is grizzly bears, you don't see them. You don't just see them and, really domesticated that much. But black bears now have become so domesticated, so their food sources, they've learned, hey, I can go to the city and get food, and then they get irritated easily, and then they become comfortable with people. And so they get too close, even if you don't know they're there. They get too close, then you surprise them or they surprise you, and then something bad happens. So that's one of the reasons I think black bears are so much more aggressive than grizzlies. I've had 7 encounters with a grizzly bear. The closest I've been to one was sleeping on top of a dead elk. I was about 65 to 70 yards away from it, and it just eating and sleeping, That's definitely not a good habit because a grizzly bear can basically close that distance in like 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds.
It's amazing how something that massive is so damn fast.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, this guy apparently was sleeping, and the bear was attacking his head, and he escaped by poking it in the eye. He poked him in the eye with like a stick. But anyway, so I want to get to the snake part because but you were in the bathroom. But I asked Native, like, out of the 3, which ones would be the worst, and he said he couldn't believe that he survived a rattlesnake bite because that was probably the worst out of the 3.
Really?
Well, that would kill you
Yeah,
more likely.
Yeah, but are rattlesnake bites really that? I don't think they kill you.
So he was hiking in Utah, and he said the bite had little venom in it, and he decided not to go to the hospital, even though he was sick for a couple days. So he didn't get like a full, I don't know, maybe it was like a baby one. But can you imagine a dude being bitten by a rattlesnake, a shark, and a bear in 3 years of your life? All 3 things.
Yeah, that sucks pretty bad. The amazing thing is like if you're getting bit by a rattler like that, I was kind of waiting on you to say he was hiking because I figured he was probably out.
I was hiking.
Depending on the bite, basically once depending on the rattler, like some rattlers are worse than others. And then baby rattlers, any baby venomous snake is worse than a grown one because they don't control the venom being moved in your body.
Yeah,
they just release it all at one time.
Rattlesnake babies are
So for him
dumb.
to get back, that's pretty impressive.
But people rarely die from rattlesnake bites. It's rarely fatal.
Well, he was saying that Native was saying that he's been bitten by a couple snakes. What was one of them?
I've been bitten by a copperhead and several black snakes. Matter of fact, I got bit by a black snake and went live, which is just a rat snake, by the way. It's not nothing venomous, but I went live on Facebook right after I got bit. I was bleeding pretty bad out of my finger, and I showed how to doctor it. If you look back, if you go to my page and look back, you'll see it.
Snakes are dicks. I hate snakes. Like, I think can we just get rid of snakes? I think we'd all be fine if snakes just didn't exist, right? If we just erased them.
They
from
do
the
control
ecosystem.
like rodent populations.
The tree hugger's going to come out in me a little bit. Snakes definitely have a purpose. They eat a lot of rats, and your good snakes like black snakes eat the poisonous snakes. Now the poisonous snakes I wouldn't have any problem getting rid of. Like I said, maybe that's just one of the curses.
That's fair. We'll get rid of just the poisonous snakes, just the ones that can kill you.
But that's how they kill their prey.
I'd be willing to make that deal. Get rid of the poisonous ones and keep the other ones that don't kill people.
But constrictors kill people too.
What's that?
Constrictors kill people too. It's just the venomous ones. That's what they use to kill their prey.
I know, but
Constrictors constrict.
Like 2 people have died from a boa constrictor. I'm gonna look it up right now. How many people do you think have died from a boa constrictor?
I don't know. Enough.
You gotta
enough
guess.
of them have died. That people have died from it. It's enough.
I want you to guess.
You have to give me a time period.
Like ever.
Like ever in the entire
yes, in the history
recording of boa constrictor deaths?
Yes.
I don't know.
Native, what's your guess?
1 million.
I have a stat here that goes back to 1978.
Okay.
17 people in the last 40 some years.
When did this end? It's from 2018 to 1978
to 2012.
Oh,
78 to 2012.
Well, there's been more since then.
Oh, really?
They're on the uprise.
Millions since then. Just boa constrictors are going off on people since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I keep boa constrictors. All the venomous ones. Goodbye. Okay. Why you want to keep the venomous snakes? Why are you fighting me on this?
I don't know.
Fuck snakes.
Well, you're just putting snakes in now that you're separating it, I guess, but you're putting them in a broad category, and snakes do. I mean, would you rather have a random snake that you might stumble upon, or 70,000 weird prairie dogs and rats running around? Gross.
Other things can eat rats.
Who?
Other things. There's owls and hawks and coyotes and
eagles.
Eagles.
I watched a golden eagle the other day kill a Canadian goose and eat it. That was pretty cool.
A golden eagle killed a goose?
Killed a Canadian goose and ate it, yep.
Oh, shit. Well, there ain't much that goose can do to fight back. That thing is pretty much screwed.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the goose was just walking around in one of the pastures up at the ranch, and this eagle come out of nowhere. I was just out there on the tractor. The eagle comes out of nowhere. Whoop, swoops on it right there. It was pretty cool.
Oh, it probably didn't even fight back.
Oh, there was no fight, man. Them golden eagles are huge. Well, most of the eagles up here are huge anyway. But yeah, I'm in Lander. I'm in Lander, Wyoming. It's I didn't even really go much on Facebook about this. So
yeah, tell us. So you recently moved from Georgia to Lander, Wyoming, about a month and a half, 2 months ago. What prompted this move?
Yeah.
Well,
I've homesteaded for the last 8 years at our off-grid cabin. I had a little farm in Georgia, and I don't want to say I got bored with it, but it's I'd done everything that I could do. I'd accomplished every goal that I'd set up for myself to accomplish by living off grid. I was raised homesteading. I lived off grid off and on, when I was younger. But, producing power and a whole 9 yards, doing everything yourself. And it was just time for a change. It was just an opportunity come along for me to move out west.
Yeah.
So I come out here, and Lee Brown, who is my lead instructor with 4-1 Survival School, he took over the Georgia branch. So I'm opening up another branch of the school out here. I'm an entrepreneur, so I've got my hands in a little bit of everything when it comes to business-wise. But I had a chance to come out here to open a school up here, which is really cool. Knowles Outdoor Leadership School is based in Lander. It's 2.5 hours from Yellowstone. So, I've got Knowles students, they're interested in doing everything. I'm 2.5 hours from Yellowstone. I'm right in the heart of the Wind River Mountain Range. It's just an amazing place. I'm on the phone with you. Drove down to the city park right now, on the show right now, and I'm sitting here looking at literally elk and mule deer walking around in this field out here.
Oh, badass.
They're wild.
Badass.
That's cool.
I mean, it's living the dream. This place is amazing, and it's so wild. It's in Georgia, unless you're in certain places, you're going to walk out. Probably you can't walk more than a day without running into some kind of road. Here, I can walk into the mountain range, the Wind River Range, and go for hundreds of miles, never even cross a road up there.
Well, yeah, the whole environment is completely different. You've got mountains, and you've got colder weather, and you've got, like you said, the more kind of closed offness, and you're just kind of more in it.
I feel like a little more of a cowboy out in Wyoming.
Do what now?
I feel a little bit more like a cowboy out in Wyoming compared to Georgia.
Yeah, you know what? It really, seriously, it actually, I contribute everything that I know with survival to being a cowboy, from my ride across the state of Utah back, and we talked about it on the last show, but I really do, man. I feel closer to the land. I'm being here, it's more wild. It's an extreme environment. It was 70 degrees 2 days ago, and then we got 5 inches of snow the next day.
Sounds like Minnesota.
We don't need to hear that where you live in Minnesota.
It's a dry cold here, though, and that's the beauty of it. It's just it's a dry cold. So, here 20 degrees is nothing. To me, it's, it's like I'm used to wet cold, in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
40 degrees is kind of cold, but here, it's, I've been training a horse, scouting for bear hunts right now, scouting for bear. I've got a bear tag. So I'm going to disappear into the mountain range this weekend.
How did you get a bear tag so soon after being there you haven't been there for very long? Is it a lottery, or how do they do the whole bear tag thing? You just apply for it and you get one?
Bear tag, Wyoming's got some really cool, wild game laws and whatnot. So like bear tags you can buy over the counter.
Okay.
For spring bear hunt.
Right.
Like, fuck those bears. Kill them all. Here's a tag. Take a tag. Take it.
Giving away bear tags on the counter. Have you ever actually gone and hunted for bear before?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you have?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've harvested bear before. Absolutely.
And is it all black bear in Wyoming then?
It is. It's black bear. They were trying to pass a law to where they would do like a lottery, I think, on the grizzly up here, but a lot of the indigenous tribes still look at the grizzly bear as being sacred, so I'm not really sure where that is at right now as far as politically speaking, whether they're going to pass it or not. I haven't studied it that much and have an educated opinion either way, but I understand both. I can understand both sides for sure. Wolves just got passed up here. Wolves,
really?
A couple years, about a year and a half ago, wolves, so you can hunt and trap wolves up here.
Okay. They must have some big populations then.
It's actually ridiculous. So I flew up first of the year, and one of the ranchers I had to sit down with, he had lost over $50,000 in cattle in 2017 alone from wolves. Something that a lot of people don't know about wolves. Wolves can either they can balance an ecosystem or they can destroy an ecosystem.
Yes.
And because they've been protected here for so long now, they're creating a major negative impact. Wolves actually, and I've seen a lot of this firsthand, but wolves will go in on like an elk herd and they will kill half or a whole small elk herd. Let's just say there's 5 or 10 elk. If there's a large pack, they will go in there and kill the whole herd, pull the entrails out, and leave them. Will not eat them. Sometimes they'll come back and feed on them, but they hunt for an instinct. They don't hunt just because they're hungry.
Right.
So if the food's that plentiful, they'll just jack shit just because they can.
That's right. Coyotes are known to do that as well. I've trapped coyotes my whole life, and in several states, and the coyotes are something else.
Well, I heard that
the crazy thing though is that wolves, I know they can be destructive and they can ruin, cattle farms and things like that. But you probably have, but you've seen that documentary or at least read about how they kind of saved some things along the river in Yellowstone?
They did. They balanced it. Without wolves, Yellowstone wouldn't be where it's at now.
Right.
They completely balanced that ecosystem there.
Which is crazy.
I've spent a lot of time in Yellowstone.
Yeah. It's crazy how they can be so destructive, but then also they were reintroduced to Yellowstone. When was that?
Yeah.
Like 95, 96, maybe?
Yeah,
it was around 95.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, is I'm a conservationist. I teach trapping, hunting, and when I'm doing both, I'm coming at it from a conservation mentality as a conservationist. So we'll say the mentality of a conservationist, and I understand. I love animals. I think they're amazing. I've raised a lot of animals. Rehabilitated them, and then did not domesticate them, and then turn them back in the wild.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just if there's really nothing that's going to hunt or harvest wolves other than human beings. So, it's just like anything else. When they get overrun, then they're going to start being destructive. And when they become destructive, then someone's got to take up the responsibility and do something about it. It's real easy. It's just like there's a lot of armchair survivalists out there that have what I call an acronym I created called an FSOP, but a false sense of preparedness. It's easy to be out of shape, sitting back in your lazy boy, and like, I can do this and I can do that until you get out in the woods and do it. And it's the same way when it comes to basically being a conservationist and hunting animals to cut down the herd or cull out certain animals that's in a herd. Because what you're doing is you're creating you're helping to stabilize their longevity,
Absolutely.
their life, So if somebody's got to do it, and it's easy for other people to sit back and be like, well, you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, no, this is a way of life. However, we can be respectful. I've harvested a wolf, and by harvesting a wolf, it's like I didn't just go out there and just disrespect that animal. I mean, it was a sacred moment for me because I understood, what that animal's thinking, what that animal's doing. But at the same time, knowing that, okay, the herd's got to be cut down, the pack's got to be cut down because they're being destructive. It's just the way it is. It's not only against, domesticated animals such as cows, etc., but they're killing off elk, they're killing off deer for no reason.
Right, and the predatory ones are killing each other too, like they're fighting for stuff. And I think that the whole social media and having things being more readily visible and available is kind of made people over the years, like made them notice more about it. But it's like there are people doing that for many, many years before anyone even realized it was happening. I mean, in Minnesota alone, like we have so many deer, like so many, like everywhere. Especially up north, like way up north, like towards the border of Canada, where Sarge is from. I think I've seen like 80 deer in one day up by where he's from, like literally.
I wonder what the wolf population and bear populations, even coyote populations are. Because growing up north, I saw deer. I mean, there's times where you could see 100 deer in a field. White-tailed deer. But I never saw a wolf growing up there. I saw a black bear once. And I've seen coyotes in the Twin Cities here of Minnesota.
Yeah, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, a lady got bit by one in the face.
Half a dozen times I've seen coyotes running around in the middle of the day through suburbs. Yeah.
Like last summer, some lady was running with her husband in a park, like in a total suburbia environment. And this coyote decided, I'm going to walk across the same bridge as you over this pond, and then I'm going to jump up and bite your face.
That's ballsy. That's
like 8 o'clock in the morning.
There had to have been something wrong with that coyote if it was willing to attack a fully grown adult woman who also had her husband right there with him.
Yeah, but it was creepy too because there was like sightings of it before.
Because you hear about them like trying to jack a kid, or they'll eat your pets all day long. And I heard they do that because they're like eliminating competition. It's not necessarily for food all the time. Like you were saying with the wolves.
I've actually seen coyotes kill domesticated animals on firsthand, and why they do it, I think they just do it just to show that how bad of the bone that they are. They just be like, look, I own this territory. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard that the main reason behind that is eliminating competition for food and whatnot in their area, whatever territory they've established in like a suburban environment. They'll just jack your pets, your cats and whatnot, especially because cats are also eating rodents. Coyotes eat a lot of rodents.
Weird.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that could be a case. We were one of the new things that I've done is created, which sounds kind of funny because I'm a guy, I guess, but I have created a women's outdoor empowerment group, exclusive classes, exclusive for ladies only.
Nice.
And you guys will you'll get a kick out of this, but hands down, Lee Brown, lead instructor, we were talking about this. The success rate when it comes to women and men, as far as like fire drills and stuff, we've had a higher success rate with women in every competition or every like timed competition that we do, just a test, like a skill assessment, I guess you would say, at the end of our classes.
Right.
Women blow the men out of the water.
Because we pay attention.
I need to see video evidence of this anomaly.
No, because we're better
No,
students.
this is
We
true.
pay attention because we want to get it right the first time and get her done.
That could be true. There could be some something to that statement.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I've picked up, what I've kind of gained from it is they pay attention, and you know this, Sarge, you know this, as an alpha male, men get egos. Not to say that women don't, but men get egos, and it's kind of like a lady trying to learn from a lady. That's gonna, there might be some friction there a little bit, but it could not be. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm gonna probably get stoned on.
No, it's fine.
Facebook
It depends on it depends on the woman, because some women like other women aren't judgy and they're just embrace everybody, but other ones aren't, and so they're gonna take direction from a male a lot easier. Those type of people,
Right.
Right, but it's like the men though. It's like it's like men. When they're out, there's a little bit of an ego. There's always going to be a little bit, because we're all, we got to be just that alpha male mentality.
Because we're better.
And they pay attention. Women pay attention so much better. And we had a lady, bow drill fire is not easy. Friction fire from bow drill is not easy.
I know.
But when we teach it, we do not use pre-made kits. We make our students make their own kits.
nice
From the wild. They're wild things.
Yeah.
It's not bought lumber. And we had a lady, she was in her early 70s, get a bow drill fire, which is like, what? She surfs.
That's awesome.
And she was like, she come out to the class, and I was just like, oh my goodness, it was amazing. So anyway, so it really prompted me that's what prompted me to do the exclusive women's only class. And so I've gotten partnered up with some awesome groups on Facebook. One of them is Women Who Hike, a phenomenal ladies only hiking group, and it's huge nationally. It's huge. They got tons and tons of members, and so we're looking to do a bunch of stuff for them, and it's fun. It's a good time. Definitely a good time.
Women are better students, so you get to enjoy the aspect of teaching, but then we get it faster, so then you can also just like, it doesn't have to be so much teaching. It can be like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this, and then we're going to hang out and do whatever. Like we cut the learning time in half, basically.
And then you lecture us.
We don't lecture you.
And then they smell so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally. If they've showered. Yeah.
Have deodorant.
Who do you think would stink more? A man or a woman if they both took a shower on Monday and then they didn't shower until Friday, did the exact same activities?
I
Who
think
do you
a
think would
man
stink
would
more?
smell worse.
You think so? Just on average, naturally, a man would smell worse?
I don't know.
Well, it's natural for us to want to get that brute look. We're not shaving, blah blah blah, whatever. But I guarantee you go through a 3-day, over a weekend, 3-day class with ladies, they're going to get their makeup. They're going to get up extra early to get their makeup on.
Oh, really?
You're camping.
That's funny. That's
throw on a hat and call it a day.
That's kind of funny because when Tracy Wilson came to Minnesota, what was it, last summer?
Yeah.
And she spent that afternoon with us, showing us the bow drill and whatnot. Frenzy kicked my ass on the bow drill every time. And I had a giant one. I had one like the size of an actual like compound bow.
And mine was the guy that taught me. We found it in the parking lot. We were at this park by the Mississippi River, and he's just like, "Here, I'm gonna go pick up this stick and make it out of here, and you can try it with this."
But you got the fire going way faster. You were way better at it than I was, the bow drill.
Yeah. And I'm a left-handy. I'm a southpaw, too.
You are?
So it's harder.
I don't know if that... I don't know. You think so? Why would that be harder?
Because I had to use,
It's not like it's a right-handed bow drill.
It's different when you're a lefty, I feel like.
It's normal for you?
I mean, I can buy scissors at any store, but usually they're not left-handed. I have to learn how to cut right-handed.
Yeah, but you're weird. You do, like, a bunch of stuff with your right hand.
I'm ambidextrous.
Yeah, so you're like... Yeah, you write left-handed. Right?
And eat left-handed. Everything else I do right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Weirdo.
Lee Brown, my lead instructor in Georgia, he's a lefty.
Is he?
And he's a lefty, and it's always amazing. He's a fire master. It's like he's one of those guys that like you teach, and then it's like he just gets so good, and it's like everything he does it not only with finesse, but he just makes it look easy, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then he studies the science of it, and it's like, that's the person that you want teaching. That's the person that you're like, it's just his passion. He cares about it. He's doing it. He goes and teaches these classes, and we work, teaching classes is super tough. It'll wear you out mentally and physically. And then he goes home, and he's with his family, and he's doing videos there too. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. But have you guys had a chance to look at the new thing that I've done in the last, the last 6 to 8 months, but Eco Survival Group? Have you guys seen anything with that yet?
No, I haven't. But I was going to ask you about the environmental farming solutions and services. What's that about?
Okay, so basically, I have me and a friend of mine. We are doing we do like underground pipe work and ranch stuff and underground pipelines and all that. So
okay,
I've had that LLC for I don't know how long, but basically, it's just environmental work. Going out and we go to ranches and most people don't know what a pivot is. You guys may know because of where you live, but in places like Wyoming and Arizona and Utah and all that, and Illinois, you'll see these big long silver pipe things with tires on them that water pastures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen those.
So we do the consulting part. So we'll go out and consult with ranchers and whatnot, and basically design a system that works for their farm or for their ranch that they can water their grass or their crops. Okay. And then we also install it as well. And that's one of the things that I'm doing out here in Wyoming as well. So it's really cool because I was in Georgia and now I'm out here, and so even doing the pipeline, you're in the middle of the wilderness, and it's just amazing. I mean, I'm packing all the time, so I can stop and shoot my gun, whatever, be out in the middle of nowhere. It's just phenomenal. You're surrounded. If you're on a big excavator and you're putting pipeline into the ground, you're consistently you get to see stuff like the eagle, the golden eagle eating and dropping down and eating that Canadian goose. It's just amazing to some of the stuff that you see when you're out there and you're part of it. It's beautiful. Plus, back in the day they did a lot of flood irrigating. And flood irrigating causes a lot of erosion, and it's destroyed ranches over time. It's really destroyed ranches. And so now with pivots, you can go in and sprinkle and water the whole land, all of your fields properly and evenly without having the erosion and breaking into the soil, because the soil completely is changing. Which, kind of one of the things I posted, we'll talk about a little bit about is dealing with extreme environments. And so when you look at the environment, environments change from state to state. So soils change from state to state. Wild edibles are going to change from state to state.
They even change within. Yeah, they even change within their own state. It's crazy how far and few between it comes. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No. So, it's like understanding extreme environments. It's like in Georgia, I'm not necessarily worried about shelter as much because the water is a lot of the rivers are contaminated. I'm a survivor of Giardia and Cryptosporidium, and which are water pathogens, and that'll kill you faster than anything. You know, it's not dying that's bad, or it's the death that's bad, but it's the dying part that gets you, because when you have Giardia or Cryptosporidium, you have bodily fluids coming out both ends, which is going to bring in opposition, such as ants or bugs or bears, or, you know, depending the location, depending the environment that you're in.
Dehydration,
so in Georgia,
starvation.
Finding good, clean water can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm in Georgia, one of my main things I'm going to be carrying with me is a stainless steel container, something that I can boil water. Out here,
yes,
the springs are prevalent. So out here, shelter, because the weather's so crazy, and fire is always going to be my main importance out here. That's going to be my number one go-to. But out here, you need to know shelter, you know, really well. But then you can build a fire if it's snowing or if it's raining, especially if you have to, you know, do it from friction, from wood, you know, in bow drill method or hand drill or whatever.
So in part of the debate with some people, names unsaid, there's some people who think that the whole survival bushcrafting, like learning these skills, is unnecessary, because you just, like, the chances of you getting into a situation where you need to know these skills is pretty damn rare. You know, like,
well, that's going to change from state to state or environment to environment. It's like I know what the question you're asking is, basically the importance of knowing that. Is that correct? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
How important is it to know these skills? Well, I'll tell you this. In the country I'm in right now, it's one of the most extreme environments there is, other than something like Alaska or northern Canada. I haven't made it to Alaska yet. I've been all over the country and I haven't made it to Alaska yet, but I've been all through northern Canada. And here, the odds are going to go up drastically, because everyone here, pretty much everyone that lives in Lander, they're outdoorsmen. They're either hiking, they're either backpacking, they're camping, and they're in remote areas. So the chance of getting into a situation is like immediate. Matter of fact, I was just up doing a bear scouting for bear. You know, again, the beginning of the week, and a blizzard hit while I was up on top of the mountain. So I was a little over 8,000, right at 9,000 feet above sea level, up in the mountains, and just started getting pounded by snow. And I wasn't worried about it because I had my insurance, and my insurance is I had my stainless steel container, I had my cordage it's got a fire starter ignition in it, it's got a fishing line in it, it's got all that good stuff in it. I had my ferrocerium rod with me I could get a fire with, and I know the area very well because I've hiked all through it, and so I knew where shelter was. But the odds of falling into a situation up here is going to triple to quadruple than it would, you know, maybe being in Georgia, unless you're up in the Calhutta area where it's real, you know, just dense and thick forest, you know, something like that. But here you can get in a situation quick, but also opposition, you know, having protection with you up here. And, you know, there's a big battle when it comes to carrying guns, but Wyoming has really, really awesome gun laws. And Lander, matter of fact, the Catholic school in Lander, on the T-shirt, it says the only school, I think, in the United States where cell phones are not allowed, but guns, but it's okay to have a gun.
What?
And
students?
There's almost zero crime here. What's that?
Like, can an 18-year-old high school student with a permit to carry bring a gun to school?
Well, they can't. An 18-year-old can't carry a pistol. You know, they can carry a pistol, but it wouldn't be able to be in their name. But I believe that the way that their laws are set, the way that they have it set up, the way the Catholic school has it, is if you're going to have guns on campus, like they have to be in a safe or something like that. But however, Wyoming is trying to pass a law that teachers can carry guns in the schools right now, and then actually go through a firearms training class, which would be absolutely awesome. But there's no crime here, and there's like the crime rate here is like way. It's like they got Lander has I think they're rated the highest schools in the nation, and it's the lowest crime rate as well. And it's why is because nobody wants to go rob a bank or nobody wants to go shoot something up when they know everybody's carrying. Because here, I promise you, if you go into a public place and you start acting stupid, if there's 10 people in there, I can almost guarantee you 5 to 7 of those people are carrying guns here, and you're gonna get shot if you're a bad guy, and you're gonna have a bad day.
How big
I can guarantee.
How large is that town of Lander?
It's like little under 8,000 people.
Oh, so it's not huge.
Little under. Well, that's resident. So you have Knowles, which is one of the largest schools, outdoor leadership schools that work with a lot of colleges. To tell you how many people are here, though, continuously, I don't even know. It's crazy. This place, like, there's tons and tons and tons of students because we have 3 colleges here. We have Wyoming State College here. We have a Catholic college, and then we have Knowles School here. So there's tons and tons of people that are here.
Okay. Yeah, it's like what I was talking about, where there's can be some backlash to what a lot of the guys like yourself and the people we from Alone and whatnot, these bushcraft survival type guys that are teaching these things like a bow drill, things that if you have basically nothing on you, these are skills you can use to survive. The basic argument was that if you do find yourself in some type of survival situation, the chances of you being no more than 2 or 3 days away from civilization or being rescued is pretty damn rare. Unless you're purposely going out into a completely remote area. If you're doing that, then obviously you're going to have gear with you because you're intentionally going out to this area. Unless you're just being a wild man and you're like, fuck it, I'm going out to the middle of the Amazon with just shorts and flip-flops and see how I do. Then, you want to have some skills. But for the most part, for your average civilian, the chances of you getting into a completely dire situation with absolutely no equipment or gear on you, and the chances that you have to know how to survive for like 2 weeks or a month or something is just not going to happen, statistically. And I think that's kind of the argument.
There's a lot of people that I've heard a lot of naysayers say that, and this is always my response. I say, first of all, do you have car insurance? And they'll say yes. Well, do you have life insurance? They'll say yes. I'm like, all right. Well,
yeah.
We teach survival with Eco Survival Group, we cover everything from, indigenous skills, primitive skills, all the way to firearms safety and firearms training, disarmament, and force-on-force combative skills.
Yeah.
So, what's the odds of you getting robbed? Oh, that's pretty daggum high, depending on where you're at.
Right.
And what I ask them is, what's the first thing that everyone does that gets into a situation, whether it's a robbery or whatever? They call the cop, the police. Why do they call the police? Because the police are going to show up with a gun and they're going to handle business. So, in my opinion, and big all caps, my opinion, I want to have insurance because I've almost died of hypothermia. I've had cryptosporidium. I've been charged by bears. I have been in these situations, so I'm teaching from experience. And I've also been robbed 3 times. And guess what? I haven't had to shoot anyone. So I've been stabbed. I've had a knife pulled on me. I've been stabbed in the hand. And the only reason that it wasn't worse than it was because I knew how to handle myself in that situation, and I practiced and I trained. So my reaction was different than most individuals. So what happens when you fall into that situation and you're not ready for it? And do you have time to pick up a cell phone and dial 911, or do you want to be prepared for that situation at hand? And so what I do, is I teach, I was like, what if you're driving down the road and you run out of gas in a remote area and it's freezing cold? Do you have a go bag in your vehicle that has a blanket? Do you have water? Do you have food that you're keeping with you? So to me, survival is more than just knowing bow drill or understanding shelter. It's understanding what happens if we have a catastrophe, such an environmental catastrophe, such as a flood, or if you're out snowmobiling, and just like this guy last week died in an avalanche. So there's survival is just the art of staying alive. So a lot of people confuse that with that, but I didn't mean to go on and on about that.
No, you're fine.
Well, it's kind of like, like when people say, they say all the time, there's that cliched line where like, well, flying in an airplane is way more safer than driving in a car. Or, the chances of you getting attacked by a shark is, you have a lot higher chance of getting killed in a car accident than you do by dying in a plane crash or getting attacked by a shark. But that's because damn near everybody on the planet drives in a car every single day for multiple hours every single day. So the odds are way higher that you're going to get into an accident. There's just millions of people driving cars on the road every single day. Shit's going to happen. But there isn't that same amount of people in the middle of the ocean fucking with sharks like there is on highways every day. So the odds of getting attacked by a shark are obviously lower. If we just lived in the ocean, we'd be getting jacked by sharks all the time.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
We're in like deer, like we'd be hitting them with our cars.
If there are as many airplanes in the sky as there are cars, and everyone was just driving their own airplane around, there'd be crashes all day long. There'd be planes just falling to the earth constantly. But it's because everyone's
right. No, I agree with you, and that's the reason we teach one of the most overlooked things in survival or bushcraft, and just crafting things out of the bush, but is knowing wilderness medicine. Or if you get in a situation where you see a car wreck, do you have a tourniquet on hand in your vehicle that you can apply to someone who has just lost a limb? Knowing simple safety. Tourniquets go a long way. The smallest artery in your body you can bleed out in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like what we do, what we teach at our school, we're not focused on just earth skills. We believe in being well-rounded all the way around, knowing medical, knowing survival skills, but at the same time also understanding urban survival. If something happens, if you go again, if you see a car wreck, I just pulled someone out of a car wreck a while back. It's like having those skill sets, and it doesn't stop with just bow drill. It doesn't stop with shelter. It goes forward. It goes a long way. So it's just being well-rounded. Right. If you fall into a situation, or if your child falls into a situation, do you know how to resuscitate them? Do you know how to get something dislodged from their throat if they're choking? So, again, when you look at the definition of survival, it's basically the art of staying alive. It's staying alive through that process. And it's like Dale Stewart said, one of the instructors with ECO Survival Group. Dale was an explorer with National Geographic. He's an amazing individual and works with him. We've done some films together and whatnot. But Dale said, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And for those adventurers, for those people, those explorers that are out there that are hiking and biking and kayaking and running and, all these things, the likelihood of them falling into a situation, a critical situation, is very, very high. So, it's like we're always out there, so I want to be prepared. Whether anybody else is or not, I definitely want to be prepared.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's no reason you can't soak in this knowledge and be, well-rounded and prepared. Like, yes, the chances that you're ever going to be in an actual situation where you have to use a bow drill to get a fire started because that's your only option, the chances of that happening are probably pretty rare. If we're being realistic, but also, if you want to know how to do that and have that in your vault of knowledge and experience, there's nothing wrong with that. Because on the off chance you do have to use that, pretty cool that you know how to do that. And there's no reason that you can't have that knowledge and that experience. And especially if you think it's interesting and you just want to know how to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody needs to be given shit for learning things that you might not ever
Right,
use.
or just cool to try and do it and see if you can do it.
Yeah, who cares?
It's something that you're interested in.
Knowledge is power.
It
Absolutely.
definitely is. As I've gotten older, I have had way more appreciation for for gaining knowledge and soaking in new things, trying new things, learning new things that I didn't give a shit about when I was younger and in high school.
Right. Well, to me, it's important. It's important that this new generation, that they understand again how did we get to only in the last 200 years, society as a whole has pretty much sold its soul for supply and demand and a house on Main Street. Technology is a new thing. It's a new thing. People have lived from the land, and so for people to be so dead set against it and place all of their trust in technology, right there's your first mistake. Because I promise you, if it's man-made and somebody can hack it, it can break down. So it's like, if we had a crisis situation right now, I don't give a hoot of beans about having a bunch of gold or silver on hand. I want something that is a trade value. So if I've got ammo such as 22 ammo or 30-06 ammo or 223 ammo, something that's a common round, then that's become food for me. How? Because I can hunt, but also I can trade that ammo to someone that has that rifle, and maybe they got some chickens. Maybe they got a chicken, and I want to trade them 5 or 10 rounds of 22 ammo for a chicken. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a pound of gold in a crisis situation or a pound of food? I would rather have the food. Or you know what I'm saying? Or I would rather have the ammo.
Well, gold, I mean, things that we put monetary value to, it's like a combined decision. We've all agreed, like, okay, this is what we're going to consider has value, and this is what we're going to use to, create an economy around. It's only because everybody agreed that gold was important and gold had value. Yeah, it's a rare metal, and it's very malleable.
Right, but do you know where monetary value came from?
Well,
you know what one of the very first trade goods were?
Work.
No,
labor.
Do you know? In other words, this is the redneck coming out in me.
labor. That's the very first labor, I would think.
Yeah, I didn't think about labor, but yeah, labor would be one of them. But one of them would be furs.
Yeah,
furs. Why was furs so why was furs so sought out? Because first of all, we didn't have clothing stores right down a few blocks.
Right.
So people wanted to stay warm. They wanted to stay clothed. When you look at St. Louis, Missouri was based off the fur trade. That's the reason, and you look at it now where it's at, but St. Louis was the gateway to the West. That was the gateway to the West. That's where, from there is where all the expeditions were led to find Yellowstone, find the very first national park. And you know how the first national park, and this is another thing. Oh my God, this really just irks me. Like, I understand being an environmentalist or whatever. I understand, people wanting to save the planet. I get it. I completely get it. And I can agree to a certain point when it comes to common sense. The first national park and some of the first state land was in Wyoming. How it was begotten was from fur trade, was from mountain men getting out hunting and trapping. The guns were used as tools. I don't want to make this a gun, turn this into a gun debate because it's a touchy subject with a lot of people. But the guns are just a tool. They were tools that were used to get us to where we are now. And if used properly, they can be, it's going to be a huge benefit. They're an equalizer.
Do you think that was the original intention for firearms, though, was as a tool for hunting, or do you think it was originally for war?
No, it was both. It was for both. That's the reason when you look at the Constitution, people always want to argue with the Constitution, and they say, well, they had muskets. Well, at that time, the civilians had the same muskets as the military. But what was before the military? The militia was. People don't want to look at history. They want to throw out all this stuff. when we branched off, when we took off and left England, and we decided to fight and create this country that we live in now, America, the reason we were able to become a country and to have proper laws and rules was because someone stood up and created and said, you know what, we're not going to be slaves anymore. We're going to fight for our right to be free. And they did that with guns. And for the same guns that they used to fight for freedom, they used to feed their families.
Right. I think the people that came over here from England and stuff to escape the oppression of England, I think they were a little bit creepy. I think we got lucky that we aren't like the original, explorers and voyagers that came over here to escape whatever oppression. They were escaping. They wanted religious freedom, and they still had crazy religious beliefs that they were ostracized for. There were still some creepy ass people. They did some creepy things when they came over here, but if they hadn't done all those creepy things, we wouldn't be here today.
I would disagree with you there. I think you have the right to the pursuit of happiness for whether it's your own ideology, whatever you think.
That's true.
Whether you're religious or non-religious. But it's America, and someone's fought and gave their lives. So I don't want to take away from that. I'm not saying that's what you're doing either, but I don't want to take away from that at all because, someone laid down their life, for us to have that freedom of religion, for us to have, if you believe in gender equality, if that's what you want to do, someone fought for that. Whether I agree with it or disagree with it, that's why we are able to do what we do in America now, which we're under more bondage now, it's sad to say, than we were in England at the time, in my opinion.
You think so? Like how? In what way?
What's that?
In what way do you think?
Well, it's because everything is demonized so much. And again, this is my opinion, but everything is demonized now. Now, if you disagree with something, then you're basically going to have a rally. People are going to pick it and basically make you bad because you don't. It's like you have. We'll just say it like this. And I don't want to get into religion, but at the same time, you got people that are religious and they're strong in their belief. And then you have people that are not religious. And it's like you have in today's society, you have the ones that are not religious. They're fighting against, like, basically saying, okay, you can't be religious. You can't pray in schools. You can't do this and you can't do that. But they allow people from other countries to come into our country. And they have more freedom of religion than we do. But at the same time, then you have the religious people fighting against the others saying, well, we don't want you doing that anymore. And they try to pass all these stupid laws saying that one person, people need to learn how to just get along. And everybody's not going to, diversity is a good thing. I think, anyway, whether I agree with it or not, It's America. You have a right to do what you want to do. Believe what you want to believe. Going
back to the whole fur trade thing, that was basically one of the first, kind of economical things that were traded. And it started with the French, in Canada.
That's right. The French traded.
Quebec and where else is up there by us in Minnesota. But they dominated that part. And they exchanged animal pelts and food and stuff like that. And then they got along with the Indians and however we want to call them, who? Native Americans.
Says who?
Well, it's just kind of history.
Yeah, they didn't really get it. I mean, they got along with some tribes, and then some tribes. There was a lot of fighting going on.
Well, there was a lot of fighting, but in general, in the beginning, it was maybe we're going to trade you this for this. We have a need that you can give us, and you have a need that we can give you, or whatever. But then there's always some asshole that comes in and has to mess stuff up. You know what I mean? And whether that's a Frenchie or a Native American or whoever, there's always those people that have those strong opinions that are going to be oh. Nope, we're going to, instead of doing this whole thing, we're kind of getting along with each other. Now we want more. So give us what we want.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But in a sense, we sort of, and I'm probably going to get chastised for this, and that's fine. But we broke away from England for us to have a right to do, basically believe what we want to believe and do what we want to do. Yet we come over here and we oppress the natives, the indigenous tribes, and the indigenous peoples. And that's a touchy subject with a lot of people. I'm like right down the road, literally. I don't live very far from the Wind River Reservation, and that's another one of the things that I'm passionate about is trying to help build the communities, the Native American communities, and reintroduce the culturalistic skills, especially to the new generation, because we've oppressed. I mean, we've oppressed the white people have oppressed the Native Americans in America before it was what it was. We came into their country and took away their rights and enslaved them when we were trying to basically get our own freedom, so to speak. And that's not right. And again, there's got to be a balance. But will there ever be a balance? Well, absolutely not. It's sad, but that's just the way it is.
I think, for one, on one point, the English, the British that came over here, our ancestors, the first people that came over and settled over here in America. In my opinion, what they did led the way for the life that we get to enjoy today. Mm-hmm. I still think that they were escaping whatever religious persecution that they were trying to escape. They wanted freedom to do what they want. I still think they were a bunch of cunts. But fortunately, it gives us the life we have today. I think they were cunts. They were not good people, in my opinion. The majority of them.
Christopher Columbus was one of the worst people ever.
Oh, Christopher Columbus was a psychopath. He was a serial killer.
That's right. And man, what you're saying, I agree with. I'm understanding kind of what you're saying a little bit more now. But and that's the thing is like indigenous tribes still today. And my friend Dale Stewart. He in the late 80s, he was one of the first people to find the Sam Bushman tribe, I believe it was, in Africa, and spend time with them. And it took him 3 months to get in with that tribe. And the reason why is because early missionaries had come over and had forced their ideology on that indigenous tribes so much to where they were persecuting them to accept their ideology and religious belief. And it's like, what the heck? And that was passed down, and that's where with our school, I can say with me, myself, and with my school, I don't care what religious standing you are. I don't care what political standing you are. I want to embrace and empower people with the liberty of self-reliance. Because it's I get goosebumps. Seriously, I have goosebumps right now because to me that is such a sacred thing to have that knowledge. And again, I don't care what background someone's coming from. I don't care if you're blue, green, white, black. I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're multi-gender. I don't care what you're what you believe. If you're gay, if you're bi, or whatever. I don't care about any of that. Every individual needs to know how to be self-reliant. I'm not going to agree if I disagree with them. I just disagree with it, and that's fine. We shouldn't have to bicker about it. We should just be like, look, we disagree, and that's it. I'm not going to force my ideology on them,
right?
And I don't want someone else to force their ideology on me. But it's not going to stop me from trying to help empower someone to live a more solid life. And to me, that's what it's about, man. It's like, we need to quit trying to recruit and to me, it's like I can't go to you and say, listen, I can solve all your problems. I can only tell you by my own personal experience, whether it's natural, whether it's spiritual, whatever. I can only tell you what I know from my experience. And hopefully we can find a common ground to where you'll see where I'm coming from and I'll see where you're coming from, because I can promise you every decision that someone makes in their life to do whatever, whether it's to go religious or to change, their gender, or to change, it's from something that's happened most of the time in their past, unless, and then there's the argument that says that people are born like that. And I've seen that firsthand. So I'm not trying to change anyone. I just want to empower them with skills, and it shouldn't have to come to an argument of political or non-political or what your standing is, or whether you're left wing, whether you're right wing. We're people. We're human beings. We're all in the same tribe. We need to learn how to get the heck along with each other and live life to the fullest. But, you know, my father passed away about 6 months ago. He got killed. And it's the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just said killed. Like, you don't hear that very often. Killed. Your father was killed.
He was cutting a tree down on his homestead, and the tree kicked out. My mom was right beside him. And it's just, I still break up sometimes when I talk about it.
Yeah,
but,
I remember seeing that.
The tree fell
on but it's a tree kicked out, and the chainsaw got stuck in a tree, kicked out and hit him in the face, and
oh my
it
God.
collapsed his head.
The chainsaw? The chainsaw took him out?
The tree?
The tree did.
Yeah, when he was cutting the tree with a chainsaw, the blade got stuck in the tree, and then the tree was partially dead, and it kicked out and hit him, and killed him like that. And my dad was a very devout man. I spent my whole life traveling all over the United States and the northern Canadas with him. He did a lot of missionary work. He did a lot of, to build people. He paid for everything himself. He never seen him taking up offerings or asking for money. He worked hard, saved his money, and then we hit the road. And we lived in a school bus with a wood-burning stove on the road for years and years. And, seeing his devoutness, and there was over 300, almost 400 people that showed up to his funeral.
Wow.
But,
wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I dug me and my brother and some close friends, we dug the grave ourselves. He didn't want a casket. We put him in a wicker basket casket, buried him on a family farm. And, one thing I took from all of that is we don't know when our time is. And it's like I heard a man say one time, he said, right now is the best you're going to have it. So you can make future decisions. You can set yourself up for the future, but right now is good. So you need to live what you live to the fullest and to the best of your abilities, because you don't know when your time's going to end. And man, I got that when my dad got killed.
Yeah.
And it really made me realize, like, you know what? People get locked up in this ideology, and I was raised extremist, bro. I mean, I was raised highly extreme.
In what way?
I mean, I met, like guys like Randy Weaver back in, you remember the Ruby Ridge Siege? We definitely weren't white supremacists by no means, because they were. But we knew him, and I'd met Randy Weaver right after his, and talked to him, and then his family got killed. And so I was raised a religious extremist, I guess you would say. And all we were our extremism was, at that point in time, was a new thing. We just wanted to be free. We didn't want to be wrapped up in society. We wanted to, live in our own house. We didn't want to have to go get a bunch of permits. And we took a sawmill. We cut down the trees and sawed up the logs, and made lumber and built a house from it and lived in a camper due process.
Shit.
And that was our extremism. That was our extremism, which was a way of life originally.
You built that house with your bare hand. The family built the house on your own, yourself. No contractors, nothing.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when I built my homestead, I did the same exact thing.
Well, what's your setup now?
Matter of fact,
because I know
last
time we had you on, you were in Georgia and you had your homesteader set up. You had this sweet cabin, and we had seen photos and whatnot. Now that you're in Wyoming, what kind of setup do you have?
So you're gonna laugh. So right now, one of my best friends has a really nice ranch out here, a very big ranch, and we've been super close for a long time. And so I'm out here. And I just decided that I wanted to live in a teepee. So I just bought a teepee. So me and my family, we're going to live in a teepee this summer. And I've got a fifth wheel camper that fixing to put on a 250 acre portion of the ranch out here. And and then I'm going to homestead a piece of property out here. So I'm going to wind up building a log cabin, do the same thing that I did in Georgia, but I'm going to do it out here. But I've always wanted to live in a teepee. That's something I've always wanted to do.
I feel
finally going to do it.
What is it about a teepee that just sounds so badass? Like being able, like you can. There's just something about it, like the movies I've seen, or what it is. But like you can have a fire in the middle. You see, they always have like a fire in there, and they got like the big buffalo skin beds that they've made, and they're just sleeping in the dirt. And you have the fire, and it just chimneys out through the top of the teepee. It just looks so cozy.
Listen, I sleep on it. I call it a buffalo pedic. I traded for a buffalo robe that was hand tanned from one of a buffalo that come out of Yellowstone. And matter of fact, we're raising buffalo on the ranch here. We got 218 buffalo that we're raising on the ranch out here.
Wow. Nice.
But I sleep on a buffalo pedic, buffalo robe every night. That's my bed every night. That's what I sleep on.
Is that just warm as hell? How warm is that thing?
It's phenomenal. If you go on my Facebook page, you'll see a picture of me wrapped up in the buffalo robe from one of the previous. I did a gig with History Channel, a little filming with them, and I was wearing it in one of the shots that I did for them. They're super warm. I mean, it not only warm, they're comfortable. They're super comfortable. And a buffalo robe back in the day, I mean, that was the Posturepedic or Tempur-Pedic mattress of the day, you know, back then. And to me, it still is. There's nothing more sacred than, you know, to me, than being on that buffalo robe with a fire burning, a little coffee brewing on the fire, and an elk steak or a moose steak, deer steak or something cooking over the fire. And just being there. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And it's like, I've always, you know, I've stayed in teepees plenty of time, but to be able to, you know, finally to be able to live in a teepee in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by the Wind River mountain range and all these animals, and it just, to me, that's, you know, freedom. I'm not stuck in a subdivision somewhere driving a minivan, you know, worrying about the payment, you know, like, yeah, I'm not against that. If that's what somebody wants to do, that's what they want to do, but it's not for me.
Right.
You know, I don't want to live. To me, freedom is being able to go do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And I've homesteaded, you know, I was raised homesteading. Heck, did the whole off-grid thing, hardcore in Georgia, built everything, did everything myself. And it's like, now I'm going to do it in Wyoming, except I'm going to start off and I'm going to do it in a teepee. And it's like, heck yeah. Why wouldn't I want to do that? You know,
that's the best way though, because you get to pick where you want to build your kind of homestead. Like you can move around if you wanted to. I mean, it's kind of like you're on kind of different turf where you don't. I mean, you know where you are, obviously, like the city where you are, but you can kind of move around a little bit and experience all that they have to offer. Because really, I mean, you're just going to lander in this little spot, and that's where it's going to be. Look, fuck no, you're going to pick the best spot ever.
That's right, and I'm going to be right on the river. The teepee is the active teepee is going on an old homestead site that was done in the early 1800s, and there's cottonwood trees, huge cottonwood trees, and a river flowing through, and I'm sitting there looking at Snowcap Mountain. It's like, golly, you know, like, who needs cable?
Right?
You know?
Like, yeah, you don't need it. You're good. You're good without it. So, but you had a pretty sweet setup in Georgia. Are you going to do something different as far as, I mean, you had that sweet kind of brick stone outdoor fireplace where you cooked a lot of food.
Yeah,
right?
I built the cabin, I built the fireplace, I had an outdoor brick oven and a smoker in that fireplace, and I sold all that. I sold my whole homestead and everything. Literally sold everything, packed everything up in 2 vehicles and an enclosed trailer and a pull-behind trailer, and moved out.
Bye.
I mean, it was like, you know, I tell everyone I'm an explorer. I don't like to think of myself as an adventurer. I'm a hunter-gatherer, you know, from my indigenous DNA. I think we all are. We have it hidden deep in us somewhere. But an adventurer is someone who goes into something not knowing what they're getting into. Mm-hmm. But to me, an explorer is someone who goes into something they don't know what they're getting into, but they're prepared for whatever they get into.
Well, that makes you more confident to take more risks too. Where you're like, I'm going to be good no matter what, so throw the shit at me, it's fine.
Right, and you know why? It's because I've been honored and blessed to be able to have these skills, and I'm still wet behind the ears. You know, I tell everyone I'm still wet behind the ears, old country boy. I'm never going to stop learning. And it's like, Lee Brown, he's teaching in Georgia at the school in Georgia, and out here, I have to teach a complete different set of skill sets, because here the opposition in the environment and the climate is completely different. So I have to evolve to this environment, climate, and opposition that's here.
Well, and to be honest, that's the whole reason why you moved there, is because you were bored. You were bored with the you love Georgia, but you're bored. You needed to grow and you needed to do something different. Right. Well, I'm a Georgia boy, but at the same time, a lot of Georgia has become veneer. I mean, there's a lot of deer left in Georgia, but when you get up into the mountains of Georgia, they reintroduced elk into North Carolina, which is right on the North Georgia line, about 10 years ago, and they're doing pretty good. But the streams are stocked. Out here, would you say it's I just hiked up into a canyon the other day, and there's wild brook trout up there that's 6 to 10 to 8 inch, 6, 8, 10, and 12 inches long, and they're native. They're native trout. So to be able to live in this country here, this area here, and then to be able to do it like the indigenous people, like my great grandmother and them did, and stay in a teepee and have that experience. And knowing, okay, this is where I come from. This was my early DNA. It's empowering. It's euphoria. It's amazing. It's like, people think about it. People work jobs daily. They work at this 9-to-5 job every day. They kill themselves, and then they go on vacation 2 times, 3 times a year. Sometimes some people more. And most of the time, where do they go? Camping. Yeah. Or camping, or whether in a camper or tent. Some version of camping. To me, I want to do it every day. I want to live it every day. And I was able to work my tail off. I was taught virtues early in life. Stay out of debt was one of them. And I worked hard and stayed out of debt, and and was able to build. I was blessed to be able to build this life to where I can live free. If living free is not living in debt. Right. Anybody that lives in debt, that's not freedom.
Well, it's the illusion of freedom. Being a part of the capitalist type setup, and living in the normal society in these big cities and the hustle and bustle of everything, the 9-to-5 type life. It's an illusion of freedom. You have plenty of freedoms, but there's plenty of things that hold you back and hold you down too, that you get comfortable being able to ignore those aspects of your daily life when you have that kind of situation.
Well, I like what Horace Kephart said. Horace Kephart was the founder of the Smoky Mountain National Park. I know his great-granddaughter, Libby Kephart, very, very well. I did a documentary with them sometime back ago called Horace Kephart, Life and Legacy. It was a film that we did on Horace Kephart. And Horace Kephart said, one of his quotes was, said, what time o'clock, when he, because he lived up in the Smoky Mountain National Forestry before it was that. And he's one of the reasons why we have the Smoky Mountain National Park now. But he would say, what time o'clock is it? He said, it's what time o'clock that I say it is. And he also said, the more a man carries in his head, the less he carries in his back, on his back. And that's so true. It's so true. So, to be able to, I remember when I was a kid, I used to read Louis L'Amour books a lot. And, we lived off the land. I was hunting early in life, providing meat for the family. And I used to really get into these Western books. And because we didn't have I've never owned, still to this day, television with televised network coming through. I've had DVD players and stuff, but I read a lot. And when they would eat a steak, I would eat a venison steak, and I would when they would eat a steak of beans, I would eat steak of beans, like reading the book. And what that did is it was able for me to create a vision. And then when I was old enough, I took off out west, and I wound up riding a horse across the state of Utah. And the more I was out here, the more I realized freedom. And Wyoming is the least populated state in the United States, but it was also the first state to allow women to vote too, which is really cool.
Progressive.
So, it's a very well-rounded state.
What's the capital of Wyoming, Sarge?
The capital of Wyoming? God, I don't.
And I'm not looking anything up. I know.
I don't think I could name a single city in Wyoming. What's
Cheyenne?
That's the capital.
Cheyenne.
I don't know any Landers. I was gonna guess Lander.
No, Cheyenne.
This is the only town I know in Wyoming.
No,
What's in Wyoming?
Lander's just the coolest town in Wyoming. I was actually
Devil's
in
Towers in Wyoming.
I don't know if you guys seen the video of me playing piano and singing.
No.
Where's that?
In the hotel.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, I was in Cheyenne. I was playing piano, and I'm a musician as well. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm a singer-songwriter.
Man of many.
What? What's your favorite? So top 3 favorite musicians or bands?
All right, say it one more time because I heard what you said, but I want to make sure I answer the question properly.
Your top 3 musicians or bands that like you love the most. Top 3 or songs even by those bands.
Oh jeez.
Oh man.
I know.
Ian
it's a tough
Tyson is one of them. He's a Canadian.
Okay.
Ian Tyson. One of them. Oh my goodness. This is that top 3.
Yeah. Well,
James Taylor.
James Taylor's
for
good.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Like if you were to
John
pick
Denver.
Oh, that's a good one. If you were to pick a cover, like to sing at something in front of people, what would the song be?
I do several gigs. I'm doing a lot of music gigs up here.
Really?
And I do a lot of covers. I do a lot of originals. Bryn Hill, who's a personal friend of mine, he'd probably be in that top 3. But I do Brent Hill, I do James Taylor. I was doing John Denver in Cheyenne on the piano there at the Plains Hotel, which is one of the most historical hotels in Cheyenne.
Here we go. I'm going to cut you off, Native. Here is Joshua Native Kirk playing the piano in Cheyenne. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Singing. It's angelic. I don't know. What were you singing there?
That is John Denver. You Fill Up My Senses.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I'm crazy about some music.
Dude, you're doing things, and we've had you on now twice, and we learn something every time. Every time we get in touch with you, we learn something, without a doubt.
Well, you guys are amazing. You guys really are amazing. I want to support you guys any way that I can, and I've been slack on Facebook for the last month and a half because I've been getting stuff done out here. But
sometimes
you guys,
you just have to do that.
Y'all need. If y'all get a chance, you ought to have Lee Brown on sometime, the instructor. He's just a phenomenal guy. And E.J. Snyder and Dale Stewart. If you listen, I know Dale would do it with you guys. Dale Stewart, one of the most interesting guys ever. He's a super awesome personal friend. But Dale Stewart, look him up on Facebook, friend him.
There you go.
He will blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
There's a photo right here. I just happened to come across on Facebook of you with EJ Skull Crusher Snyder and Dale Stewart.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, obviously we enjoyed having you on the show a year and a half ago when we had you on, and it's exciting to see you progress and grow, and you're living in a different state and like doing all these cool things. Like, super happy for you. And
I want to have you on more often. You should be like our resident survival guide for this show.
We could do some topic shows, where we can hit pinpoint topics and stick
that'd
with
be
those
awesome.
topics, and try to educate the audience a little bit. But it'd be cool too, doing a gig or something. Take you guys live in a gig. There's many popular musicians out here that we run into, so I want to get all these, like, anybody that I know, I'm going to try to get them on your show. And EJ would probably love to do it too. EJ, you guys get EJ on. EJ's a phenomenal guy. I mean, he's one of the first guys to do Naked and Afraid. Busted that out. He was the last guy on Dual Survival. EJ is just phenomenal dude. And Dale Stewart, oh my goodness, he'll blow your mind.
Yeah,
he will blow your mind.
We've had nothing but positive experiences getting to know all of you that are into the survival, you as trainers and teachers and experts, experienced people in the field. Like, we've had nothing but positive experiences getting to know you and sitting down and having these long form conversations that you just don't normally get with people in day-to-day life. And it's always been a positive experience. We've always learned something. We've always gotten to know just an awesome person, down to earth, just salt of the earth type individual. And we love that shit, because not only are we avid fans and very interested in soaking up the knowledge that we can get from, learning bushcraft skills and survival skills and just valuable information that you may never use someday, but if if it does happen where you do need to utilize these skills, it's pretty nice to have it in your back pocket. And so it's just something that interests
might
us.
save your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could. And if you share it with other people. But I think what Sarge is saying, going back to that, is just connecting with people like yourself that are genuine, lovers of nature and animals, and just wanting to create that life for themselves that you can wake up every single day and be happy doing what you're doing,
You guys are awesome, and again, it's an honor, because we can actually have an educated conversation about saying we might not agree on everything, but you know what? We're still going to be friends, and we're still going to be trying to reach out to the community, reach out to the audience, and try to teach somebody something. And that's what you guys are doing. You're making people laugh. And laughter is the best medicine. You're making people laugh. You're educating the audience. I mean, what more could you do with a show? With a podcast like that. I mean, so it's amazing.
Yeah, that's the beauty of these conversations, where we get the chance to sit down and actually spend some time and go over some stuff and actually have a long form discussion about whatever it is. And like you said, there may be some topics that we don't all agree on 100%. But it's not a debate.
No, it's opening up things that maybe other people haven't experienced or heard of before.
You're seeing multiple sides of different topics and conversations, and nobody's fighting. No one's trying to convince each other of one side or the other. It's just having a conversation, learning one person's side of things to another person's side of things. What kind of information they have to bring to the table.
Respecting them as a person and their beliefs, whether you agree with them or not.
It's a great thing, just to be able to talk about stuff and get people's opinions and people's experience and outlooks on things.
People have you're native. You're probably used to this because you live in the awesome places, but most people don't get to have normal conversations for more than 5 minutes at a time.
I know, short little blips.
Like, it's
in
either
a text
via
message,
text or a voicemail or over the phone. You're like, I don't want to talk on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But having those, those kind of personal, whatever, taking the time to have a conversation with somebody, that's a long lost art. I feel like nowadays, which is sad.
Well, one positive thing you got going on, Sarge, is Frenzy. You got to have a pretty girl, face posted across there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that helps, right?
I'm sure like most of the guys that are coming on there, they're all secretly they're secretly all trying to get in good with Frenzy. Be like, hey,
I know, right? Yeah.
That's funny. The funny thing is I'm more like a dude than a chick, so it works out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, I mean, Sarge, you got a pretty mouth. You know what I'm saying?
That's like the second or third time I've ever heard that. You got a real purty mouth. Was that from Deliverance?
There, boy.
Was that from Deliverance? You got a real purty mouth, or something like that. Or no, that was the.
Any movie where you use some kind of a southern accent that's perverted it's obviously it's immediately Deliverance. It's like there's other stuff. It doesn't have to be it's from the South.
That's the go-to reference when you're talking about backwoods hillbilly, like crazy hillbilly murderer type people.
There's crazy murderers
and have eyes.
People everywhere, all over the place.
That's true.
I actually got to meet Billy Banjo from Deliverance, the kid that was playing the banjo. But he actually wasn't playing the banjo. He plays a mean banjo, but There was somebody else playing the banjo for him on the show, but he works at the Walmart in Clayton, Georgia.
No
Fuck up.
way.
Anybody that wants to meet Billy Banjo.
Oh, I need to go there.
Wow.
Yep.
I wonder if Walmart sells banjos. I need to purchase a banjo.
Maybe kid banjos.
From Walmart and then ask if he does lessons.
All right.
Just for like 20 minutes.
Just getting the sign it. Autograph.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Native, I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours. I could talk to you all night long, brother. I really do. Like, I think we do need to do this more often.
Well, yeah, it's been way too long. And I'm excited to hear about your new adventures in Wyoming. Like, I honestly am super excited for you. When I saw your pictures that you had posted, and I was like, I was like, oh, he's like in the snow. I'm like, where is he at? And then it said you were in Wyoming, but I didn't realize you had moved there. So I'm excited to hear about this new adventure of yours. It's going to be awesome. And the bear stuff, like, you've got to take video at least or something. You have a selfie stick?
Yeah, video. People like video. I would...
well, you know what? I'm going to start doing video more because I'm out in the backcountry daily. Literally, I hike I don't know how many miles every day in the backcountry. If you guys ever get out here, I'll give you a personal tour of whatever you guys want to see out here.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely get... I'm fixing to start getting more video, and I've been doing a lot of photography out here. But,
I noticed that. That's
it's
good.
been pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do that. If we are ever out near Wyoming, obviously you're going to be the first person we call. And if you're ever anywhere near Minnesota, we hope that we are the first people that you call.
If you don't, we're going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
I love Minnesota. I've kayaked and canoed a lot of the lakes out there. Matter of fact, I was in Minnesota when my grandmother died years and years and years ago. It was terrible.
Really?
But it's beautiful country.
Yeah.
It is.
Really?
It's amazing.
It's pretty badass.
We went
except for
from
temperamental weather.
Yeah, the weather is kind of moody. We had like
Bipolar.
We got like 18 inches of snow 2 weeks ago, and then
25 total.
Yeah, well, 25 for the month of April, but in one day we got like almost 18, and then the next week it was in the 60s, and the snow's almost gone. It's supposed to be 80 on Monday, so it's fine. We usually have like a super early spring, and it's like, oh, spring is here, and you know it by April, middle of April, or no spring, and it just turns into summer. We'll take it.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about here. There's no humidity whatsoever.
Oh,
yeah,
it gets so
we get
bad.
humid. But yeah, this is it's been a year and a half since we had you on the first time, and I think
the first time,
don't you?
Are you
know,
from Minnesota?
Don't you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. But I would love to have you on.
You should get Dave McIntyre too. I got to throw that out there. Get Dave McIntyre, the second season winner of Lone. I can get him. I can call Dave and get him to.
Yeah,
he'd probably love to do a show with you guys.
Where's he from?
He's in Michigan.
Okay.
I'd say we had Larry Roberts on. He's a Minnesota dude.
You know what? You know what would be
the accent a little bit.
Yeah, and then George Wells, who was with Tracy Wilson, who's from Minnesota too.
Yeah, we haven't had him on though.
We haven't had him on. I was thinking too. I'm thinking out loud right now, but it'd be fun to get Lee on the show and like chat with him for a little bit, and then we can call you and have the four of us all chat together.
Foursome of sorts.
Oh yeah, that would be a blast.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Larry is a good guy. Larry Roberts is a
Larry is a badass.
All hail
He's
the beard.
Amazing. Love that guy. He's great.
Yeah, we should definitely do this more often. I would love to get because we do it. I mean, we don't have. It'd be nice to have you on or some every couple of months. Instead of a year and a half in between.
Yeah.
We can't go a year and a half again. That's ridiculous.
No. We should have a in-house survival, and even if you can't do it all the time, it'd be cool to have you or somebody in that community that we all know, like Larry Roberts or Nicole or Alan K or whoever. Just every once in a while, once a month, once every 2 months, there's the survival expert.
Or you teach let's say you teach one of your classes and you go out and teach your class for How long does a typical class last? A couple days, like the women's
it's anywhere from we do anywhere from a day to a week class.
Okay.
The loan classes are out here, And
Okay.
then a lot of, like, we're going to be doing a class sometime, I think, in July, where Alan's going to be here,
Nice.
EJ's probably going to be here, and, you know, it'll be several of the celebrities that are here, but they're legit, you know. It would be cool. I don't know if you guys would ever contemplate doing this, but maybe do a live where we did a live with, like, call-ins. That would be pretty cool.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I was thinking even just recording. We don't
That'd be
even do
fun.
a show. We just record a little something before you go on one of those kind of excursions with those guys in July or whatever one you want to talk about. And then you kind of maybe record some stuff and call us during, and we can record it too. And then we do like a post after the whole class is done, and you can kind of recap. That'd be kind of cool to hear.
Yeah.
There's so much you could do.
Would be cool.
Like hear the expectations kind of going into it, and then during it, and then afterwards be like, whoa, I could have just like eaten beef jerky and sat in a chair all day. I was so tired, or whatever, you know, whatever experiences you go along with. But it's be kind of cool to see the progression of it.
Yeah.
Pre, post, and
Absolutely.
during.
We've got a series that's coming out on Prepare Now TV, which is on like Apple TV and Android TV, and
Okay.
it's going to be a television series strictly about the school. So that's
that's
going to
cool.
be pretty cool too.
Pre-prepared TV, it's called.
Prepare.
It's called Prepare Now TV.
Prepare now. Okay.
Prepare now TV. Okay.
And it's pretty cool. But yeah, I would love to do some stuff and do some survival tips. You guys, we could do some survival tips for you guys.
Yeah.
Just to draw, you know.
That's the beauty of
That'd be
things
cool.
like this is you can mix it up. You can do really whatever you want.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Absolute freedom. So okay, let's
Maybe
pull
you
this.
could get EJ to do a Naked and Afraid show where he's naked on the other line or something.
Yeah. Francie's done multiple episodes where she's been completely nude. No rhyme or reason. She's just like, yeah, I feel like being naked this episode.
I usually don't like to wear pants.
It makes it hard to focus, Francie, when you're butt-ass naked across the table from me and we're trying to do an episode.
I'm never butt-ass
Yes.
naked.
It's kind of hard to focus. Just
Uh-huh.
saying. Just saying.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's pull this train to the station, huh? Let's put this fire out.
Choo choo.
All right,
It's in the
Native.
station.
my friend,
Yeah, we're gonna talk to you again soon.
brother. Yes.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. So excited for you and your new adventures.
Yeah, tell everyone about
Thank you.
how they can find
Welcome.
you and they can find Four Winds and get set up with classes and everything. Let our listeners know where they need to go.
So they can go to the number 4 WINS, WINDS, survivalschool.org or ecosurvivalgroup.com, either one of those, or if you put either one of those names, 4 WINS Survival School or Eco Survival Group on Facebook or in the Google search, I'm the first thing that pops up. So
Beautiful.
you can look at the classes, get prices and schedule and the whole 9 yards. And we do everything from consulting to backcountry guiding, river trips, you name it. Matter of fact, we've got a river trip going down. Lee Brown is going to be leading May 19th on the Old Mulgee River in Monticello, Georgia. May 19th. That's going to be an awesome kind of a basics survival class on the river trip there. So if you're listening, you should, and you're out of state, in state, whatever, you should check that class out and sign up. But it was my honor and my pleasure being here with you guys.
Badass. Yes, we love having you, man.
We appreciate it so much,
Like I
and
said,
it's been long overdue, and
Yeah.
it won't be so long in between now again.
We need to do this more often. Like, I honestly, we could sit and talk to you for like hours.
Yeah, and we consider you a friend.
Work. But hey, it's not work when you're enjoying it. My brother always says, and this is the last thing I'll say to you guys. My brother always says, he said, you can stay in bed and dream, or you can get out of bed and live the dream. And that's what I feel like I'm doing daily. I'm so blessed, to be able to just live the dream daily.
Yep, that's great. It's a good analogy.
Thank you again, brother, for sharing your time with us tonight.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. All right, brother.
I'm excited about it. I'll push it as much as I can, and hope get some listeners. I love listening to you guys' shows though too.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
The episode is over.
It's over, and that song, by the way, sounds like JT.
Fuck this. It does, doesn't it?
Totally sounds like JT.
That
It could
sounds
pass
like
for a JT impersonation,
Mr.
100%.
Timberlake. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Right?
It does.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. That really does fucking sound like him.
It does.
Interesting. I doubt it is. But,
It's not, but it could pass.
Yeah. So that was Joshua, native Kirk, survivalist, bushcraft, survival expert.
Yeah, a new resident of Wyoming.
Survivologist.
He freaking
survival
moved.
engineer.
He
what do you
moved
want to call him?
to a different
I don't know why
state. I think that's amazing.
Why?
Because he moved from Georgia to Wyoming and is adapting and like figuring it out.
Frenzy, people move all the time.
I get that, but it's still something that you should recognize. Like, it's a big deal.
We did
to pack up and do that. No, I'm saying
he
I'm
has
just
no ties
reiterating.
to anything.
I know.
He's one of the.
It's just a different environment.
He's one of the few people. Oh, I agree, 100%.
That's what I'm talking about.
Totally different environment. But he's one of those people who can just pack up his shit and go wherever the hell he wants.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, adapting to the new environment that you're going to be in and
that's
having.
Cool. That's cool.
That's
You got
cool.
your jollies off on the fact that he moved to Wyoming. It excites you.
Not really. I don't really. I've never been to. I've been to Wyoming once, I guess, Devil's Tower, when I was in, like, in 8th grade. But
it's boring unless you really love nature.
yeah.
If you're into the things that society has to offer, Wyoming's not the place you want to be. If you're into some badass nature, like a native Kirk type dude, Wyoming's probably a pretty sweet state to live in.
Yeah, I just like Minnesota.
I do too, except for I don't even want to talk about the weather. It's going to piss me off. Anyways, so yeah, native Kirk. Love that motherfucker. Love that dude.
Yeah, he's great.
Thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Yes.
Comics Watching Comics on Amazon Prime.
Holy crap, you can catch multiple episodes, but seasons 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Currently available.
When's season 6 coming?
I don't know, pretty soon.
You still don't know?
I still don't know.
All right.
I'm not privy to that knowledge. The CEO will let me know.
So go on Amazon Prime if you already got a membership. Watch Comics Watching Comics. If you don't have a membership, go fucking get one and watch Comics Watching Comics.
Yes, do it.
Also, thank you to our sponsor for this episode, the Sportsbook Box Office Podcast.
Yes, hosted by Kevin Goatee and Jeffrey Paul, 2 New York City comedians who talk smack about sports
and movies
and
bust each other's balls.
Bust each other balls. Go have some power lunches.
Yeah,
with Ron Barba.
Go get your ear pleasure on with that show. Go to their social media, Sportsbook Box Office. They're on all the social media things. Send them some love.
Podcast platforms. Check them out.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
That's all we got.
What should we play this episode out with? We should probably do some new color, huh?
We should do some new color.
Okay. Let's do. We're gonna play a song from Culla's new album, Colossus. And this one's called I See. So, thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Later, fuckers.
that he won the fight that night. For the story goes that the bears barely fared at all. Oh, I see tomorrow, the man on his tread, soaked in bear's blood.